Hello dear students, welcome to Pen and Paper Chemistry. Sorry for the long gap in continuing with the topic. We shall be continuing with our topic of chemical kinetics, and this is video number 8 in the series of videos. So please make sure that you've got your pen and paper ready so that you can take down notes for offline reference. We are continuing with the factors affecting the rate of a chemical reaction. We've already covered concentration oblique pressure, how they affect the rate of a chemical reaction. We shall be talking about the effect of temperature on the rate of a chemical reaction. And before we talk about chemical reaction, let's make a daily life observation for physical changes. Watch this small video. In this experiment, if you notice, I have taken two small jars in which I have put jaggery powder. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to add cold water in one, cold, or you can say normal water in one, and in the other I am going to add hot water. Okay. Now continue observing the rate at which the jaggery dissolves in each of the two jars. Let's observe. See, I am going to stir each one of them. This is a very simple observation, but why am I doing it is so that it's easier and more understandable for you to relate to your daily observations. You see over here, see, it's almost dissolved, and here we go. Let me show you more clearly, more closely. You see, the jaggery in this is almost dissolved. You will see a very small portion of it remaining behind. Whereas, if you notice over here, there's a large portion of the jaggery which is still remaining undissolved. Okay, let me stir this one as well for you to see. So you understood the effect of temperature, although this is a physical change, but a similar behavior is observed in the case of chemical changes as well. Now how about chemical changes? Now a simple laboratory observation is when you increase the temperature of a reaction by 10 degrees Celsius, the rate of a reaction almost gets doubled or tripled. It can be 1.7, 1.8, something to the tune of 2.1 times the original rate of the reaction. The same observation many a times you would find written as a statement. For every 10 degrees Celsius rise in temperature, the rate of a reaction gets doubled or tripled, provided all other factors remain constant, right? So because we are dealing with one factor at a time. So I can say that the rate constant at T plus 10 degrees Celsius is almost, that's why I have written almost, 2 or 3 times the rate constant at T degrees Celsius. This has been expressed mathematically by saying that the temperature coefficient is the ratio of the rate constant at T plus 10 degrees Celsius to the rate constant at T degree Celsius, right? So this is called temperature coefficient. So temperature coefficient tells me by how much the rate of a reaction will change when the temperature of a reaction is increased by 10 degrees Celsius. Now, we are going to talk about this behavior. Why do the reaction rates get doubled or tripled, or they do get multiplied when we increase the temperature? And we shall be talking about them in two different terms. Quantitatively means quantity. We are going to give a formula. We are going to talk about the Arrhenius equation over here, which some students love, some students dread, but by the end of this video, I promise you'll be very comfortable with this. Qualitatively, we shall be talking about the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve and the activation energy concept. Now, these are heavy words, distribution curve. And when I was in 12th, I couldn't understand this distribution curve at all, to be very honest. Each one of us have our learning curves, but I'm going to explain it to you and it's going to be very, very simple. So let's get going. Remember your pen and paper. So the curve, let's talk about it first qualitatively. Qualitatively means we are going to explain why this behavior is there. So if you notice, yes, I'm going back to maths and I'm not teaching you stats. Let's suppose in the chemistry test on chemical kinetics, before you watch this video, the marks scored by some students in your class, we've listed over here. I have taken a hypothetical situation. So I've got 0 to 10, 10 to 20. Now if you notice over here in this distribution, most of the students of your class are lying in the marks range of 20 to 40. So we've got 22 students lying in this range. Few students lying in the range of 0 to 10 and very few students lying in the range of 40 to 50. Yes, we are all aiming for that only, right? 40 to 50 marks out of course, the total marks of this test are 50. So, if I have to represent this same data graphically, how am I going to represent? This is here. On the y-axis, we've taken the fraction of the students. On the x-axis, I've got marks. So we start with 0. And what will happen is there's a peak. So there is a high number of students who are getting an in-between marks. That means an average score mark. So if you want, you can actually put down values over here. So 0 to 10, 10 to 20. Or if you plot the marks of each of these students, this is how you're going to plot. Oh, I put it too close. So this is how our curve would look like, right? Now, what if the passing marks, let's say, is 40, right? Very, very hypothetical situation. Now, if the passing marks is 40, how many students do you think are going to pass? So, let's represent that with the help of this shaded region over here, right? So, this would represent the fraction of the total number of students who are going to pass in the test, correct? Now, let us imagine that you have watched this video very, very carefully. You've practiced your questions and all the students in your class start working hard. So what will happen? What will happen to this data over here, right? Do you think there will be a change over here? Yes, so probably we'll have just 1 or 2 students getting 0 to 10. We will have more students moving towards, let's say, the higher score of 20, 10 students get between 40 to 50. And I've just changed the data. So one student getting between 10 to 20, one student getting between 20 to 30, and most of the students have moved towards the higher marks, right? So my graph is going to change over here, correct? So my graph would look something like this that I have drawn over here. Yes, this is all representing hypothetically. So what has happened over here is now there are higher number of students or more number of students who are lying in the range of 40 to 50, right? Now why am I talking about all this? This is the same thing that happens when you talk about a reaction mixture. So what is there is initially what you see in white over here is representation of the kinetic energy or the average kinetic energy of the particles, and on the y-axis we are representing the fraction of the molecules having that much energy. So, If you follow the white curve, this is the average distribution of the kinetic energy of the particles in a reaction mixture. Very few molecules. So this is fraction of the molecules. This is my kinetic energy. Low kinetic energy, less fraction of molecules. This is the intermediate kinetic energy. You see, the fraction of the molecules is much higher. So most of my molecules are having an average kinetic energy, just like the performance of the students of your class in the chemistry test. Whereas very less fraction of molecules or very less number of the particles have that high amount of energy which they need in order to bring about a chemical reaction. That high amount of energy is what we call as that they have the necessary activation energy. Now what is this graph in yellow? Yes, this is just the graph which will develop when you change the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius. So this is my original graph at T degrees Celsius, and the graph in yellow would be my graph of the distribution of energy of the particles when you increase the temperature by 10 degrees Celsius. Now let's shade that region as well. Now if you see over here, the number of particles which have that necessary activation energy has almost got doubled by increasing the temperature by almost 10 degrees Celsius. Have you noted down this graph? Yes. And this graph is known as the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve. What is this activation energy, by the way, that I mentioned just now? It's just like the minimum marks that you need in order to be considered have passed the test, right? So first of all, let's write down this one. So Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve for the energy, kinetic energy of the particles of a medium, right? Now, just now as I said, I have mentioned a new term over here, activation energy. Don't worry, I'm going to explain it now. Also, in some of the texts and some of the curriculum, you will find it written over here as number of molecules instead of fraction of molecules. It's more or less the same. You have to remember that when it is fraction of molecules, the total sum of the fractions would be 1. The concept still remains the same, right? Have you noted? Now let us understand the concept of activation energy. We are going to talk about the same test, but we are going to talk about the same test with respect to this little student who has been working hard through the year in order to get the required marks. But what happens sadly, that student is stuck at 20. The student scores 20 marks, still good. But how many marks are required to pass the test? Yes, you are required to get 40 marks to pass the test. So how many additional marks does that particular student require? Yes, they require 20 marks more in order to pass the test. Same thing is there in the case of chemical reactions. The reactant molecules, they possess a certain energy. There is a certain energy associated with them, which I will represent by ER. But in order to form the products, they need a higher energy, right? So I'm going to mark it as ET. ET, what is ET? It's a threshold energy. Yes, the word is threshold. What is threshold? Threshold is like the border line. So when you are at the threshold of your house, you can either go out or you can go in, right? So at the bottom line, at the just the crossing line. I wouldn't say the bottom line. So threshold energy is the minimum energy which a reactant molecule must have in order to form the products, and is somewhere, let's say, EP, right? So what happens is my reactant has to go all the way to reach the threshold energy, but then its energy falls and it comes to EP. That is the energy of the product. So this is my EP, this is my ER. This is the energy that the reactant already has. This is the energy that it needs. The difference of the two is what is called as the activation energy, denoted by EA. What is this activation energy? The energy that the reactant molecule must acquire over and above the energy that it has in order to reach the threshold energy, or what is also called as the activated complex state. Now, what is this activated complex, and how does it acquire this, and how does it form this? We shall be talking about later in another video where I shall be talking about collision theory in greater detail. So this is the graph that we have got. So ER is the energy of the reactants, EP is the energy of the products. Now what does temperature do? Temperature increases the heat of these molecules. So what happens is, just like this video is going to pep you up and it's going to pump energy into you, and you will start understanding the topic better. And what will happen to this student? Yes, he's easily going to score 40 and above, right? So the same thing, the temperature also increases the collision, the energy of the reactant molecules, and they are now ready to reach the threshold at a faster rate compared to at a lower temperature. If you've noted down the graph, I've got the definitions here in place for you. So we've got the threshold energy, the minimum energy the reactant molecules must have in order to form the products, or in some places we also say in order to form the activated complex, right? A molecule cannot remain in the state of an activated complex. Can you always remain charged up with energy, ready to study all the time? No, you need to relax. You need to soothe down as well. So the same thing is there for the molecule. So what happens is, it has some energy. It works. Come on. Yes, I need to reach there. I need to go to the top. Yes. So it works its way up here. And then once it's formed the activated complex, zoom, it slides down in order to form the product. Now when I'm saying sliding down, it's not literally, it means it loses the excess energy and finally it has formed the products. Just like you will put in all your energy to get the required marks, and then you'll be able to relax peacefully. Correct? What about activation energy? The excess amount of energy. So let me put the word excess over here. The excess amount of energy the reactant molecules must acquire. Actually, instead of excess, I should say more appropriately minimum. The minimum amount of energy that the reactant molecules must acquire in order to form the activated complex. Why did I use the word minimum? A reactant molecule can acquire energy higher than the threshold energy also, right? So what's the minimum energy that they need in order to form the complex? Right. Now, activation energy and threshold energy, how are they related? Just like the marks that you need in order to form the product. So in order to clear the test. So activation energy is the threshold energy minus the energy already possessed by the reactant molecules. Understand this concept very, very carefully because we will need it for the topic of chemical equilibrium as well. Okay? Have you noted down the definitions, please? So we've already covered the qualitative aspect of the effect of temperature on the rate of a chemical reaction. But we are more interested in the quantitative aspect. And since this video has gone too long, I think we'll cover it in the next video. Stay tuned. I'm coming back with it very soon. By the way, one of my students has started her channel. It's called GenX Coding. In case any of you is interested in learning Python, probably the student may be the right person. See you in the next video. Stay tuned, stay healthy, stay happy. By the way, I shall be posting the link to my website for notes on the topic as well as the link to GenX Coding in the description box below.